So, with the announcement of the Suicide Squad isekai that is coming out, a lot of fans are hoping to see more DC characters get anime adaptations as well. And a lot of people like to call this new show the Superman anime. So this got me questioning, is this really an anime? Let's just go ahead and do a little deep dive into this series, shall we? So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, HBO Max, or now called Max, is releasing weekly episodes on this new animated Superman series called My Adventures with Superman. It's a new version of the Superman origin story where we see Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen join the Daily Planet as interns. They team up with Lois Lane to break down stories to show the boss why they should be considered real reporters, while Clark deals with discovering who he is and becoming the hero of Metropolis. Now, this is a new adaptation of the origins of Superman with a bunch of influences from different Superman comics like Man of Steel, Superman Day 1, All-Star Superman, and many more. This series, while being shown on Adult Swim, is not for a young adult demographic, but instead is for younger kids. There's no blood, there's no cursing, but it can still be pretty entertaining for teenagers, especially people who are fans of DC. Now, personally, I'm not that big of a fan of DC. I have seen some of their stuff, some of their animated TV shows, some of their live action movies, and even some live action shows. So this series to me feels like a breath of fresh air because a lot of the DC content that I do watch are more story based and with a serious, darker tone, while this one is just really lighthearted and a lot of fun. Animation is pretty nice, reminds me a lot of something from Invincible. Metropolis looks really clean, character designs are unique and look really well drawn. The action choreography isn't that crazy, but it's alright. The story seems like it's going to be a bad guy every week type of story format, but with a hinted bigger threat in the background. But I also really like the scenes of Clark trying to figure himself out and learning to balance his normal life with his Superman life. And even though I hate the hiding secrets from your friends like arc of these stories, it does make me engaged in seeing when Lois and Jimmy will find out about Clark being Superman. It's crazy how they can't figure it out on their own with literally the worst disguise in history. The characters here are the best part of the series though. Jimmy Olsen is the funny conspiracy theorist, Lois Lane is a wild go-getter instead of being a damsel in distress, and Clark is both really nerdy and cool. And I love seeing more of Clark Kent than just Superman. And all three of them together are just magic on screen. The chemistry between all three of them are just so fun to see. Now the real question is this series really an anime? But to answer that question, we have to ask ourselves the really old question of what is an anime? Now the official definition is a style of Japanese film and television animation, but other definitions could be film and television animation inspired by Japanese culture. Emphasis on the inspired part, by the way. A lot of people have their own take on this definition. For example, I know a lot of people like to consider Avatar: The Last Airbender an anime just because it's heavily influenced on Japanese style animation with animated facial features and character designs. And if you really want to be technical on the matter, anime is just short for animation. So technically something like Cars or Bugs Life can be considered an anime. But the definition has become super opinionated, so far in fact that a lot of people out there don't believe that Pokemon is an anime, which is pretty wild to me. Now that's the same question being thrown around with this series, cause a lot like Avatar, My Adventures with Superman is also heavily inspired by Japanese culture. You have the heavy facial features, character designs, hell this series has its own anime ending. And DC has done something similar to this in the past with the old Teen Titans show on Cartoon Network, with the show also being confused with an anime with all of the anime-inspired animation. However, without the involvement of a Japanese studio or a Japanese production team, it can also not be considered an anime just because it didn't come from Japan. Now this debate has been going on for years now on what's considered an anime or not. Me personally, I don't consider this series an anime. I just think that it is heavily inspired on anime. With the popularity of anime in the West growing bigger through the years, I'm not that surprised that a lot of new series coming out are going to be inspired or bandwagoning on that Japanese style. It's worked with all of the other series that I mentioned, and if done right, we'll probably have a big buzz around it as well. But no matter what it is, I think this show is honestly just great. And if you are a DC or a Superman fan in general, I definitely suggest you guys watch this series. But is it an anime or is it not? Let me know all of your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a debate on this. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.